Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, we'll give you a recap of Pro Bowl weekend here in Las Vegas, plus get to hear from a couple of the Silver and Blacks Pro Bowlers, Maxx Crosby and Josh Jacobs, and really some interesting stuff from Josh. Plus, we'll close things out with your calls and texts. It's all coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for Monday, February 6th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won, and won, and won, and won, and won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can find the Locked On Raider podcast free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Thanks to my man Ari. He's making sure we're up on YouTube each and every day. Does a fantastic job. Really appreciate the efforts of my guys. So you can check him out on Twitter at Ari Produces. Again, does a very good job for us here. Today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast is brought to you and sponsored by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And they have a special offer for all Locked On Raider podcast listeners. Get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. I'll tell you a lot more about them later on in the show. But, man, I'll tell you, it's been a fun weekend here in Las Vegas. And I'll tell you right now, I'm recording this on Sunday, about to get onto the road and head to Arizona, be there all week long on Radio Row leading up to Super Bowl 57. So excited about that. So actually going to get on the road in just a few minutes as soon as I'm done wrapping up this show. So you'll hear it on Monday, but just please believe this being actually recorded on Sunday, and it's before the Pro Bowl actually happens. But a lot of Pro Bowl activity has already happened this weekend. It was a lot of fun. Matter of fact, on Saturday night, I took part in the Pro Bowl Celebrity All-Star basketball game, and man, that was a whole lot of fun. First of all, I'm 46, haven't been on the hoop court in quite a while. Really, I get way caught up in work and don't work out as much as I should, or even get on the hoop court as much as I should, but had a really good time. And think about this. I mean, some just young dude who's not a young dude actually really anymore. Basketball out there on the basketball court, just some cat that is really nobody. I'm out there playing with Maxx Crosby, Jerron Harmon, Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Howard, Malcolm Butler, Zadarius Smith, Derwin James, Micah Parsons, Stephon Diggs, Trayvon Diggs, and others, right? But those are just the main ones that I recognize. Gary Payton and Dennis Rodman were the coaches of the team, so it was a lot of fun. My team lost. Maxx Crosby was actually on the other team, and I'll tell you right now, Maxx Crosby knows no other speed but go and fast, right? I mean, that's just Maxx Crosby cannot help himself. He actually not got into a dust-up, but it was funny. Him and a guy on my team started going back and forth. You know, they're two big guys, and they were banging down low, and Max threw him down on the ground. It was pretty funny. But, I mean, it was all in good competition. It was a lot of fun. But, man, it was a blessing to have an opportunity to actually be out there. And it was funny. The moment hits you when you realize that you're not really that young dude, that you feel like you're still that young dude. Because I do. I feel like I'm super young still. But Tyreek Hill called me old school. Tyreek Hill said, "Hey, man, we got to get old school into the game." And I thought, damn, he's talking about me. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. Just glad that we were able to go out there. It was for a good cause. It was for cancer research and everything. It was really, really fun. We did it at the Cox Pavilion here in Las Vegas. So anyway, that was just one of the many activities that happened over the weekend. Also had an opportunity to catch up with the Raiders on Saturday. A few of the Raiders, of course, A.J. Cole, Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, Maxx Crosby, and Josh Jacobs, all representing the Raiders at the Pro Bowl this year. Devontae Adams was a no-show for one reason or the other. I don't know, and apparently all week long he really hasn't been a participant in anything that was going on Pro Bowl related. And then on Saturday when we had the media availability, he wasn't there either. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Didn't talk to Derek Carr, and that's fine. I mean, he spoke on, on Thursday? He spoke after the skills competition, after the precision passing that he did really well, and I had a few sound bites from that on Friday's show, so that was fine. So I didn't talk to Devontae, didn't talk to Derek, didn't talk to AJ because, I mean, AJ's cool, but I've talked to AJ a bunch of times. So the main guys that you want to talk to are Maxx Crosby and, of course, Josh Jacobs, who is going to be a free agent, right? And my anticipation is Josh Jacobs will return, but it's got to make sense, and he says that, and you'll actually hear that coming up in segment number 2. But Mad Maxx Crosby, let's just go ahead and get into his media session that he had on Saturday, and really it just kind of started off with talking about what's the whole week about.
So what's your approach to this weekend? Just make sure that you have fun and do as much as you can, or?
Yeah, basically. I really, it's just about being around the guys. At the end of the day, it's a blessing to be here. being announced, Pro Bowler is a blessing and a dream come true. So not taking it for granted, just having fun, showing up, and enjoying every moment.
Take some pride in the fact that you made him change the format.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens next year. I hope we can play some football, but we'll see.
You throw down a dunk in the All-Star basketball game tonight?
Definitely. I'm excited. We play at 5:30, so yeah, I got to get home, get warmed up, get my mind right. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
How you going to win defensive MVP with no hitting? How you going?
I don't know. I don't even think I could play in the game. So honestly, I'm gonna just be hanging out. I think we got like tug of war or something on the side for the big guy. So I've been trying to convince Peyton to put me at some tight end, but we'll see what happens.
Joanna Luminor says he can beat you in a 40-yard dash. What was up with that?
I could beat him backpedaling in a 40. He's crazy.
We talked about at the end of the season about you recruiting players. This is a bunch of great players here. You doing some recruiting?
I can't disclose that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see for sure. Been having a lot of great conversations.
What was it like, Max, kind of going through all of the dodgeball stuff and what that week has been like, even in terms of camaraderie, seeing all your teammates out here?
It was fun. It's been cool. Obviously it's a little bit different. Like I want to compete at something I'm a little bit better at. Because dodgeball is not my main sport, so it was kind of a struggle. But it was fun just being able to be around a bunch of different players in the league and competing together. It was a lot of fun.
Derek obviously real close, and I'm sure you guys have hung out since, but just to have it one more time on the field in football sense as teammates, how much fun has that been?
It's been awesome. Derek's been taking it like game week. You can tell he's when we got in there on Thursday, I knew he was about to light it up. I was literally telling everybody, he's winning 100%. So yeah, he's taking it really serious, which I love, and he's going to go out there tomorrow and light him up. So I'm excited. But yeah, being with him it's great every time. One of my best friends. So whatever happens, I'm just fired up for this next opportunity.
Growing up or as a peer, what do you think of, the big question, but Tom Brady's career and legacy as he retires here?
Yeah, Tom Brady's been one of the best, if not the best ever since I was a kid. So it's just incredible to see a guy play 23 years in the league. Like, it's unheard of. And I got nothing but respect for him. Me and him had a couple of really good conversations in the last couple of days. He's awesome. He's one of those guys that you would never know he's won 7 Super Bowls and is the greatest to do it. He's a super humble dude, and he's just addicted to his craft, and that's something that that's how I approach with my career, is trying to be a guy like that, emulate the way he prepares and gets ready to be the best every time he steps out here.
So there was Mad Max right there, and as a lot of players don't like the fact that it's flag football. A lot of these guys, these competitors, they want to go out there and compete. He said, man, he doesn't really know what he's even going to do. He doesn't even think that he's going to be able to play. And you heard me say, you're the one responsible for changing the format because of the way that he played last year in the Pro Bowl here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. They said, you know what? He's going too fast. We're going to go ahead and dial this thing back and change it to flag football just because, again, he only knows one speed. So who knows what's actually going to happen. But Max being a 2-time now Pro Bowler, that's awesome. And I do believe that he's going to continue to add to his resume, right? I mean, a hell of a player, so he's going to continue to do really good things. And he did mention to me at the end of the season, that he was going to get out there and do some recruiting. What better place to do recruiting than at the Pro Bowl in your own backyard, right? A lot of these players want to see the facilities. A lot of these players love the Allegiant Stadium. And so there was a lot of recruiting going on over the weekend. So maybe Maxx Crosby was getting in the ear of some potential free agents that, hey, this would be a good place for you. We can go do some good things here. Maxx Crosby, the good thing for the Raiders and Raider Nation as well, Maxx Crosby is a guy that a lot of players want to play with. And so that is a big plus. He is very well, highly respected among his peers. So he is a guy that a lot of players are going to want to play with, and I think that goes a long way. Now, of course, we've had so many conversations when it comes to the quarterback position. Who is it going to be for 2023? I've talked about, I think that Aaron Rodgers is probably the best bet at this point, if it's reasonable. Whatever the asking price for him is, if it's reasonable, I think that the Raiders should do it. Clearly, a lot of other folks think that the Raiders should do it. And Aaron Rodgers was out golfing this past week. He was at Pebble Beach. And matter of fact, a lot of rumors and conversations are that Devontae Adams, instead of being at the Pro Bowl stuff, was out there with him. And if I'm Dave Ziegler, the GM of the Raiders, I'm like, hey, man, forget the Pro Bowl. Go out there and put a full court press on your buddy Aaron, right? I mean, why not? Or at least try. And I do think that Devontae Adams is doing that. He's been tweeting out some stuff. I mean, some tea leaves and talking about, house shopping is tiring or whatever. And that kind of was in response to something Aaron Rodgers said at his golf tournament. But here's courtesy of CBS Sports, a little 45 seconds with Aaron Rodgers talking about the golf tournament. You'll hear them get right into the conversation of where he could potentially play next season.
It's fun to be here. It's such a great event. Fans are amazing. A lot of people yelling different teams they want me to come to next year, which has been fun because we got a little inside bet going about which team's going to have the most fans, but it's been fun.
I was going to save that for my last question, but you're leading me right into it. Is there maybe like a favorite color, favorite city that you might have on your mind for next season?
I'm just going to say that the predominant team that we hear as we're walking is Raiders. A lot of Raider fans are encouraging me. A lot of Devontae misses you comments. So we're having some fun with it. It's a great event for the fans to come out here, and hopefully we can get back on the course.
So there you go. Apparently Raider Nation is putting the full court press on Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's having a lot of fun with it. I don't know where he's going to play. I don't know what the plans are. You'll actually hear from Josh Jacobs, not really details about who the Raiders are thinking about for the quarterback position, but he does narrow it down to a certain number of quarterbacks. So you'll hear that coming up in segment number 2 when we get into the Josh Jacobs media session from Saturday. And I saved that for segment 2 because it's worth its own segment. Just his media session and my response to a lot of different things, a lot of takeaways that I had from what he had to say. So that's going to come up in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get into segment number 2, though, I do want to remind you that today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast is brought to you and sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy online, and life always has many different twists and turns. I recently told the story about my son and what happened with him, and I wish that it came with the owner's manual, but it did not. Right? I mean, it's just one of those situations that you have to figure out what is best for you and how you can overcome it, or not even overcome it, but just deal with it day to day, so it's not weighing you down as it very easily could. And for me, talking about it helps. Right? For me, talking about it, I feel, is an honor to him and something that I should do. And like I said, it kind of helps me maintain day to day. Well, sometimes just talking to someone is therapy. Sometimes talking to someone is what you may need, and that's where BetterHelp Therapy Online comes in, because unfortunately life does not come with that user manuals. Therapists are trained to help figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills. It makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine that is called you. Everyone deserves to feel their best, right? Again, BetterHelp Therapy is what is good for you. All the benefits of in-person therapy, plus it's more convenient, more accessible, and more affordable. All you got to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things are clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It can't be any easier. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Get unstuck with BetterHelp. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. That's BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. I also wanted to tell you about our good friends at FanDuel. We're really excited about our new sporting bet partner for Locked On. They're the #1 sportsbook in America. If you're new to FanDuel, even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. All you got to do is download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who'll score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/LockedOn to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to get into Josh Jacobs, his media session from Saturday at Allegiant Stadium. The Pro Bowl activities were going on. I thought this was really good, kind of taking you behind the scenes of what's been going on with Josh Jacobs, what could be potentially going on with the Silver and Black, especially their quarterback position. Everything was talked about in this conversation. So it starts off just talking about what he's been doing since the season wrapped up, where things are right now. Of course, that's leading into contract conversations.
Man, I'm chilling, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't really talked to them. I ain't really had no conversation or anything like that. I'm not too much worried about it. I feel like I'm in the driver's seat. You know what I'm saying? I control the ship. So however it goes. how it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too much worried about it, but it definitely got to make sense.
Now that the season's over, I know you talked a lot during the season, like, hey, business will take care of business.
Yeah,
playing, but season's over. You had a great year.
Yep.
Like, it's nice to have a great year like that for a contract season. Right?
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, we haven't talked yet, so I ain't felt disrespected in any type of way yet. So we're gonna see how it goes.
When does that start?
They say next week, but I don't know. We're gonna see.
I mean, I guess when does the disrespect start if they haven't talked to you?
Yeah, we're gonna see.
Josh, is this where you want to be if it does make sense?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, like I bought a crib here. I'll probably forever keep a crib here for tax purposes, but I mean, yeah, that's what I want to be, man. I feel like I've left my mark on, this organization. With a group of guys in the locker room, obviously it's gonna be shaking up next year. But man, I feel like this is home. So for me, this is where I want to be, but I'm not going to discredit myself trying to be here either. So, you know what I'm saying? So it just got to make sense.
What was it like seeing Derek? After everything that kind of happened?
Yeah, it's funny because I broke the ice when we had seen him. I was like, man, it's kind of weird having him around. But he's been cool, man. He's the same dude that he's always been. He's just a good person. So he came around us. We all was in the locker room, the first day that all the Pro Bowl guys I got out here. And we was all in there earlier, because we knew the facility and things like that. And we just all kind of just sat down and kind of, enjoyed each other's time. But man, it's gonna be fun to have one last run with him. So
have any other guys been recruiting this week at all?
Definitely been a lot of recruiting going on. Definitely a lot of recruiting. Dude, every time he see me, he'd be like, "Man, stop tampering." You know what I'm saying? It's definitely been a lot of recruiting.
That's gotta feel good though. I mean, people want you, right? I mean, that's gotta be a cool feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's both ways, man. I mean, I talked to a couple of defensive players, and was like, man, what you thinking this year? What you thinking? What you about to do? So, and the thing about Vegas, man, everybody wants to come here, so hopefully we can figure it out. They can put some pieces together.
Josh, I'm sure your preference is probably a multi-year deal. Do you think you would have a negative reaction to like a franchise deal?
Ooh, hero turn villain. Hero turn villain, man.
I mean, you said it has to make sense. I mean, you talked about money before, but is it just money to you? What else makes sense?
Nah, it's also the pieces we get around and all of that. Like I tell people, man, like it's one thing to be okay taking less money and stuff like that if you winning, but if you losing, you have to come correct. that's just what it is for real.
But do you think you can win here?
I think that we got a great opportunity too. Like I've been saying all last year, I feel like we was always so close. And so that really just come with them getting the right people in there, the right guys, getting some more guys on defense, get some more guys up front, like things like that. Obviously now the quarterback situation, I think that play a big part of what I want to do too, like if I come back or not, so it just depends.
You haven't talked to them, but do you want to talk to them, like who they're going to try to get a quarterback?
Oh, no, yeah, we talked about that like kind of like towards the end of the season. So I kind of know where their head is at. I'm not gonna speak on who they. I'm not gonna speak on where they leaning to. But I know they the three that they looking at. So we'll see.
One's already retired though.
I don't know nothing about nothing. I feel like that was a contingency plan. You feel me? Oh man.
Just in terms of this week, Pro Bowl, the new structure, everything. What's your take on all that?
This is stupid. I ain't gonna lie. They need to. First off, I'm a free agent. But for real though, they need to figure out a way to make this make sense because I don't enjoy this. You feel me? Like we just kind of here. You know what I'm saying? It's not really organized either, but they need to figure it out.
Any ideas on like what to do instead, or?
Send everybody family on vacation, bro. Call it a day.
Go back to Hawaii?
Call it a day. I mean, but don't have people like, they be like, all right, yeah, you coming out here, bring your family out here, this a vacation, but you got events that you do, it really ain't, you know what I'm saying? So just send people on a vacation for a week and just call it a day.
Could have got a head start to the Philippines, though.
I'm saying, could have did a lot more with my time, man. You feel me?
So there you go right there. Really interesting stuff right there from Josh Jacobs. And that guy is a dude who always keeps it real, right? I mean, all season long, good or bad, he's always been willing to talk, and he'll always give you everything that you need to know. He didn't just go out there and disclose exactly what quarterbacks they're talking to, but he did say there's three of them, right? He did say that the quarterback position would be something that makes a difference to him if he even wants to return. He talked about his contract, said it's got to make sense. He clearly does not want to be a franchise tag holder, right? I mean, you heard Tashawn Reed ask him about the franchise tag. Would he be willing to play on that? And he said hero turned villain. That was a tweet he put out a week ago or so, a week and a half ago or so. And everyone's wondering what that was all about. He doesn't want to get hit with the franchise tag. He wants to get a contract that he feels like he deserves. And he deserves that. Now, I think that they're probably going to have to hit him with the franchise tag as a placeholder and then work on a long-time contract extension. And look, it could be a 4-year deal, but you know how NFL contracts are. It could be the first 2 years are guaranteed or have a lot of upfront guaranteed money, and then the rest of the contracts, they can get out of it. You know how it goes, right? None of these contracts are real deal set in stone except for Deshaun Watson, right? I mean, he's the only guy with all guaranteed money on his contract where it really makes all the sense in the world. But I think that the Raiders will get something done, right? By the way that everything has gone with the Derek Carr situation and basically making it look like the organization really didn't handle that situation very well, I think that this would be a massive PR hit if they didn't take care of Josh Jacobs the way that they're supposed to. And I know you can't do things for marketing, you can't do things for PR, I get that, but at some point, you've got to get it right and make everyone realize that you know what you're doing. So I do think Dave Ziegler and company will get something done with Josh Jacobs, but I thought it was an interesting little nugget when he was asked about a quarterback retiring. Obviously, that was Tom Brady, and he said, I thought that was more of a contingency plan. So that's, to me, sounded like, and I just interpreted it as, yeah, Tom Brady was a thought, but he was a in case of emergency break glass thought, right? That's how I took that. But I thought it was interesting. A lot of stuff that Josh Jacobs had to say right there. He hasn't talked to the organization. He's supposed to start talking to him this week. He'll see how that goes. He said he has not been disrespected. So at least, we're up to date right now on everything going on. So when you hear people saying that, the Raiders aren't doing Josh Jacobs right, he hasn't even talked to him yet. He's going to talk to him, this week. So he hasn't felt like he's disrespected. But he did say yet because he knows how negotiations go. And it could come down to that. So Josh Jacobs, always keeping it real, wants to be a Raider. You heard him say that. But again, he's not going to bend over backwards to just, I'm going to take any contract just so I can stay. No, he feels like he's earned a certain amount of money, and he wants to get that. And you also heard him say, if you're winning games and you're not getting as much money, that makes sense. But if you're not winning and you're losing, you got to get the bag, right? I mean, and again, also makes sense, right? So I don't blame him at all. I appreciate his open and honest and ability and willingness to be open and honest. I thought that made that made the whole 4 or 5 minutes that we were talking to him that much better because again, he just has done what he's always done, which is kept it real and just said, hey, this is what's going on. This is where we're at right now. Obviously, there's certain things he couldn't disclose, but a lot of things that he told us, if you really listen to it and pay attention, maybe even have to rewind it and listen to it again, I think he told you a lot. So there's about 3 quarterbacks that the Raiders are focusing in on. Clearly, Aaron Rodgers is one of them. The other 2, maybe they're in the draft. Maybe Jarrett Stidham's one of them. Who knows? But it seems like it's about 3, according to what Josh Jacobs had to say. So I thought that was some good stuff from him. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and text straight up that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about Blue Nile. And as we all know, man, the Super Bowl's coming up, but a couple days after that is what? Valentine's Day. It means romance is in the air more than usual, right? The wife just gave me a little heart emoji as she walked by, or she just kind of did the heart thing. If you're looking on, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. I always make it look like binoculars, but it is what it is. She just did that. So clearly, love is in the air. So you better get it right? You probably had your dates already planned out, what you're going to do already planned out for weeks. If you haven't, well, maybe you need to. Have you found that perfect Valentine's Day gift? Hopefully you have. If you haven't, I got one for you. BlueNile.com. At BlueNile.com, you can find the perfect piece of jewelry for life's special moments or even create the custom engagement ring of her dreams. Their simple online tools let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft that perfect piece to your specification. Blue Nile provides expert guidance, in-depth educational materials, and unique online tools that place you in control, so you can forget the usual hassles of the jewelry shopping process and focus on the romance. Blue Nile's diamond price guarantees allow you to compare a competitor's diamond against one of theirs. Blue Nile can even meet or beat their price. Every order is insured and arrives quickly in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shipping is free, and so are returns. Right now, you can save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com for up to 50% off. Again, BlueNile.com. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and text off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's start things off with Raider B in Minneapolis. He's calling to talk about the quarterback position and how it pertains to Aaron Rodgers, and he's kind of changed his, had a change of heart. Here he is, Raider B in Minneapolis.
Hey, Q, Raider B here, Minneapolis. Long-time listener since Black Hole Banter days. I don't call in often. Got to meet you last year, but I will say it's a little hard to get on now when I do call in or text in every once in a while, which I don't mind. That's a testament to how far you've come, the popularity of your show and your podcast. You're looking great on YouTube, Q. So anyways, keep up the great work. On to Aaron Rodgers and the quarterback situation. I've kind of changed my tune a little bit. I've been saying, yeah, they want to build for the future. Let's go get one of these guys. You know, I'm rethinking this, listening to you, you know, and everything. And I've always loved Aaron Rodgers. I've kind of changed my tune. Let's go all in. And by all in, I mean within reason, like you say. Give up our first. We may have to give up a player, Renfro or Waller. I mean, I'd like to hang on to both those guys. But, you know, pay the man, go in, and let's do this now. I mean, if we wait around and build and then 3-4 years down the road when we got a quarterback developed, well, where's Maxx Crosby then? And Jacobs, hopefully we're signing him and all these guys. We have these guys right now. So, anyways, I'm all in on Rodgers. I hope we can make that happen and have something for Raider Nation to look forward to. Anyways, Raider B here, Minneapolis. Peace out.
Thank you so much for the call, my man. I do appreciate you, and I think the biggest key to this whole thing is if they bring Josh Jacobs back, right? You got a small window with Adams, Crosby still in his prime defensively. You know, you've got key guys in key positions. So to take advantage of it, that's why I would think that you need to get, you know, a big-time quarterback, someone like an Aaron Rodgers, because, again, you have some nice weapons. Do they need to build the team up? Absolutely. You know, they are not a finished product, but they have the makings of a team that could be really good, right? I mean, even last season, when the Raiders looked good, even when they lost that game against the Cardinals, like they were clicking early on, right? They were at 20-0. They had spurts where they looked really good. They just couldn't consistently do that. They've got to figure out how to keep it consistent. But, man, they have some weapons that you see could be really good. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is amazing. I think he's the guy that you want to most definitely bring back. Devontae Adams, I don't have to say anything about him. You know what Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would look like. Is Waller going to be involved in a trade? Is Renfro going to be involved in a trade? I don't know. But you just feel like you want to see this team with their weapons have an opportunity. I think that is one of the biggest things. So thank you so much for that call. I do appreciate you. It's good to hear from you as well. Up next, I got a text from Weapon X. He says, Q, if we're going to trade for Rodgers, let's just do what we did with Adams. All the picks in 1 year. Done. A first, third, and Waller. Not sure if that gets it done. Rumors were Green Bay offered a second for Waller before the trade deadline. I can't sign up for 2 first-round picks for Rodgers, who might only play 1 year or 2 at the most. Also, if the Chargers release Mack, do you think the Raiders bring him home? You would need to do a special episode for Agent 52, come full circle. That was in the early day of the pod when he got released. That's from Weapon X in PA, and thank you for the text, my man. And, yeah, I remember that Saturday that I did that special edition of the Locked On Raider podcast, Agent 52, yeah. Oh, I remember. Believe me, I remember it like it was yesterday, man. It still haunts me sometimes when I even think about that. But as far as he goes, maybe they'd be interested in bringing him back. Maybe if the Chargers release him, depending on what the money looks like, I think he would be a really good compliment to Maxx Crosby. You know, obviously he showed last season with the Chargers what he could still do. Right, so he's still a hell of a player. His running buddy, Joey Bosa, wasn't available most of the season, though, so he didn't get the full impact of having a real deal dude across from him. But I wouldn't have a problem with him coming back. I think that'd be great if everything made sense, if the price was right. As far as Rodgers goes, I'm with you 100% with the trade. Just get it done in 1 year. That's the thing that I don't want, is it to linger and be like, 2 firsts, a second, and then a second in 2024 or whatever. No, just get it done, like you mentioned, with Devontae Adams. It just happened in 1 year. Okay, first and a second, and it's done. It's over with. I'm with it. And the other thing about Rodgers only playing 1 year, that could potentially lower the cost of business, in my opinion, and it's actually been talked about. Maybe it could end up being like some kind of conditional picks. Like, okay, if he plays 1 year, this is what it is. If he plays 2 or 3 years, then this is what it is, or this is added to it. You know what I mean? Because you have to safeguard yourself just in case he does decide that he's only going to play 1 year, or, maybe he ends up playing 2 or 3 years. I mean, so there is some rhyme or reason that goes into that. So that could play a role, and not to mention all the money that is owed to him, about $60 million this upcoming year. So maybe Dave Ziegler could, say, hey, well, since we got to pay him this much money, we're taking all that money off of your hands, even though the Packers would get hit with a bunch of dead money. Still, maybe that's a situation where Ziegler could use that in his advantage as well. I know there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat and get it done, and I think Dave Ziegler has a pretty good, sharp mind when it comes to that. Again, I really respected the way he got the Devontae Adams trade done a year ago. Up next, ABA Ivan Davis. He's calling to talk about Aaron Rodgers' discussion as far as what the Raiders need to do to try to acquire him. Here he is, ABA Ivan Davis.
Yo, what's up, Q? This is ABA Ivan Davis. Calling to chime in on the Aaron Rodgers discussion. You are correct. With Brady retiring, although I never considered him an option, I just thought that we should pass on him. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is the only choice. Now, I can't think of the caller, but he talked about we're taking on all the financial responsibility. Kind of makes me wonder if they're willing to take that on, why not keep Carr? But anyway, Aaron Rodgers is a for sure upgrade from Carr. So I guess that makes sense. And I would give up the first and second next year and use we're taking on, you have to give us something. We're taking on $40 million worth of, freeing up $40 million for you to go get a quarterback that you can use for this year, and then you can draft one next year. You can go after whoever that top guy is. I didn't even mention his name, whatever it takes to not give up the capital this year, because we need Rodgers and all those draft picks. Okay, so that's what I would do. Okay, I would give up a first and a second next year. Maybe give a third or fourth this year or something like that. Something low, but definitely nothing in the top three. Top three, you can usually find starters in the top three if you're good. Okay, so anyway, tell me what you think of that. And other quarterbacks that might be available, I don't see it. I kind of like Jimmy G, but you're right about that. That's a lateral move. And if he was durable, he'd still be in San Francisco. Okay, he would not be on the move. Okay, but how about Trey Lance? Niners got a problem. Okay, that's been created. Not no fault of their own, but they got to let a good quarterback go. And I would see if I can get Trey Lance. Okay, that would be a good pick. He can sit back behind a veteran quarterback. He's got serious mobility. To me, he would be an absolute perfect quarterback for Josh McDaniels. Absolutely perfect. But anyway, thanks a lot, Q. You have a great day, my man. Go Raiders.
Thank you so much for the call, my man. I appreciate you. And, yeah, I'm not sure what the trade would be because of the money. Again, I have no idea what the trade would be. As I just mentioned with Weapon X, hopefully it's just something that gets done just this year and they don't have to linger into another year. That hopefully is the situation. As far as Trey Lance goes, he's not going anywhere, right? Kyle Shanahan just said the other day that they have two starting quarterbacks, Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy is injured. He's got a torn UCL. He's going to be out at least 6 months, so that opens up the door for Trey Lance. He ain't going nowhere. They gave up way too much capital. They're not just going to all of a sudden ship him out and be like, okay, we're done. They're not bringing Jimmy G back. It's just not going to happen. So they got Brock Purdy. They got Trey Lance. I even thought that, to be honest with you, that maybe Derek Carr would be a good landing spot for him in San Francisco. I thought that could be a spot that you might end up seeing him play next year, especially if Trey Lance isn't healthy. And we know Brock Purdy's not going to be healthy, but he could end up being a guy later on down the line once they fix that UCL. And that's basically like a Tommy John surgery for baseball players. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I've been putting an asterisk next to the 49ers when it comes to Derek Carr and where he plays in 2023 because I think that could happen. But Trey Lance, he ain't going nowhere. So thank you for that call, though. I appreciate you. It's good good to hear from you again. One more text. We'll close out the show for today. This is from Raider J77. He says, hey, Q. Raider J77 here. It's been a while since I texted or called into the show. Last year, my gut told me that Devontae Adams was going to be a Raider in 2022, and it proved correct. So after seeing everything going down around the league and the type of GM Ziegler and Coach McDaniels duo are, these guys seem to be, I want to give my gut feeling for what they're going to do. First, like it or not, Aaron Rodgers will be the next starting quarterback for the Silver and Black. Ziegler and McDaniels want to win now. Second, they will begin the draft getting a dog on defense, whether the interior or exterior of the defensive line. Then they address the O-line needs and draft Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the third or fourth round, develop him to take over once Rodgers steps down. So I see them make an aggressive win-now move at quarterback, a conservative, safe move at future quarterback, an aggressive move at D-line, and solid picks moves at O-line and defensive back positions. Hang on for the ride because it's my gut feeling that these boys are going to slay this offseason in Vegas and shut everyone down that is doubting them. Love the show and all you do for the Silver and Black. Take care and just win, baby. That's from Raider J77. Do appreciate that. And, yeah, I mean, that could be the way to go. Get a guy right now, like Aaron Rodgers for right now, because I do believe that they have to win. I don't believe that they could survive a 6-11 season in 2023 or a 7-10 season. I believe they have to win, and if they're not in the playoffs, there better be a really good reason why they're not in the playoffs. Like they just barely missed out on it, like a tiebreaker or something. Like they damn near need to be a playoff team, in my opinion. So we'll see how that shakes out. But, yeah, that's some really good stuff there. I do appreciate it. And you know what? We'll close the show with one more call. I know I said that was the last one, but we'll get one more call in. This is a good one from JD from the SLC. He's calling to talk about the show I did about my son, and he shares his story as well. I thought this was a good way to close it out today. JD from the SLC.
Hey, Q. This is JD from SLC. Sorry to fill up your voicemail box, but my previous calls, I was rushed, and I ended up saying the wrong things or wrong information. But I just wanted to thank you again for your show about your son. Really close to home. I'm a truck driver by trade, and I had tears rolling down my cheeks as I was working because of how close it is to home. This past year, I lost my nephew to cancer, to a rare form of childhood cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. He passed about a year after his diagnosis. But the kid was a fighter and true strength, and he was my little Raider fan. He followed his Uncle Jay and was a Raider fan like him. And one of his bucket list items was to go to a Raider game at the stadium, and we went to the Raiders Vikings preseason game. And it was super fun, and he had a great time. It's a great facility, and he had so much fun. And it was good to see a smile on his face while he's going through such a hard time. But Raider fans should be proud of what that kid was. He showed strength and courage and fight that Raider fans would be proud of. It reminded me of old school Raider defense. It was super strength, super strong, it's sad to see him lose him, and I agree with you that I would watch and support the Raiders and lose every game for the rest of my life and have it back on this earth with me. And so thank you for showing what is important, and it's your family and your loved ones. And thank you for your show.
Thanks so much for the call, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your story. You know, what I've learned over the last few years is doing shows about my son and the loss of my son is that there are so many out there that can relate, right? And I feel like that always helps other folks to know that there's other people out there that are going through, similar situations or situations where they lose someone that's very close to them and, don't really know how to cope. And I think it's good for, people to know that it's okay to talk about it. Right, it's not something that you kind of have to shy away from and hide. It's good to talk about it. I know it makes me feel better. So I think that that's really a good thing, and that's what I've learned and seen so much good positive response from shows like that. So I'm glad that helped you as well, and do appreciate you calling in, as I mentioned, and sharing your story. So thank you so much for that. Again, fantastic way to close out the show. And as I mentioned, I recorded this show on Sunday, headed to Arizona for Radio Row the whole week there, leading up to Super Bowl 57. We'll be back in time, not staying for Super Bowl 57. We'll be headed back Friday evening, be back here in Las Vegas for the actual Super Bowl on Sunday and all that good stuff. So I don't know, every night or every day the show may not be up at the exact time that I always usually have it up around midnight Pacific Standard Time. One, I'll be in the Mountain Time Zone, so that kind of changes things, it complicates things. But it gets a little wonky sometimes on Radio Row. So, it shouldn't be too much after. Every once in a while, it may be before. I might even drop it like the night before. I don't know. Just kind of be flexible with me. This week is always a weird week, but it's a fun week, very informative week. There'll be a lot of good stuff that I bring back to the show and to the podcast. There'll be a lot of stuff that I won't even have time to bring to the podcast, but it should be a whole lot of fun. So Super Bowl week is here. Appreciate you as always, Raider Nation. Thanks so much for making the show your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can find the show free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Thanks to my man Ari at Ari Produces on Twitter, doing a fantastic job. Do appreciate him. So until tomorrow, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.